It's kind of chilly. I don't have any boots, just my usual trekking shoes and my usual thin, low trekking socks. That's all I'm wearing, so it'll be important to keep moving now, keep my toes from getting too cold. Sun is just about to go behind that ridge, and so I'm wondering how much colder it's going to get when that happens. So I am really all alone in the northern part of the Bob Marshall Wilderness. Realistically, now would be the time to turn back. I don't think I'm going to turn back down to the river, and it's 5 o'clock, so the race is on. Got to get to that campsite pretty soon. This is the Beaver Creek campground about 1.5 years ago, where I camped when I was pack rafting the Spotted Bear River. And it looked like a hurricane had just come through. What a huge mess. And this is what it looks like now, all cleaned up and pretty again. Looking neat and tidy. They've done a great job. You might wonder why I have my hood up in the clear blue skies, but it's because there's so much snow and the trees melting rapidly that it's almost like it's raining when you're in the woods. Oh man, pretty unusual to be able to hike anywhere in November in Montana without snowshoes or skis. And I knew I was pushing it, but it's kind of desperate to get out in the woods because I'm 8 weeks out from surgery for my prostate after having to abandon half of my summer's plans hiking because of this issue. I really didn't want to have to wait all through the winter and into the spring to get back out in the woods. So here I am, and hope for the best. At least there are no hunters around. I expected that would be the biggest problem because it's mid-hunting season, and I figured there would be tons of people back here wanting to do pack trips back into the Bob. But I don't see anybody, which is why I'm not wearing my blaze orange vest that I do have just in case. I don't know what I'm going to decide to do here because there is more snow on the ground than I really expected. The elevation here is only 500 feet more than at my home, and there was only just a light dusting on the ground at my home, so I kind of thought I could get away with it without full-on winter camping, although I certainly did come equipped to camp in the snow if I have to. But not sure. I had planned to hike about 8 miles to a spot I know of where Beaver Creek comes into the Spotted Bear River, and there's a couple of nice big campsites there. Just not sure if I am up for camping in the snow, though. I kind of hoped that there would be some bare patches. So I'm just hiking down the trail. I think I'll go a couple of miles and just see what it's like. I figure worst case, I can hike back to the truck, and there are tons and tons of free campgrounds along the Hungry Horse Reservoir. I might just go back and camp at one of those because there was bare ground where they were. And then I'll still get my experience of hiking and camping out, even though it wouldn't be exactly a pure just backpack trip. Still, might be fun. Hoping there isn't going to be too much deadfall on this trail like there was the last time I did this, because it's a lot harder to get around in the snow. Well, it's pretty cold. I think about 35, 37 maybe. But warm enough when you're moving and staying active. So beautiful out here. Not crazy about all the snow, but I gotta I gotta balance that by admitting that it makes it a lot prettier. All the striations and the rock walls being so clearly delineated. One problem I'm starting to run into is that the snow is clumping up on the strap of my gaiters, and I can kick that off pretty easily. But on the other hand, I probably don't need the gaiters that bad. There we go. The snow is deep enough to keep me from kicking up dirt into my shoes. Normally I wouldn't try this hard to keep my feet dry, but hiking in the snow, I think it'll make a difference. I think it'll make a difference. My feet are about half soaked as it is. But if I can keep them from being fully soaked, that'll be a bonus. Oh, shoot. I think this might cost me more than it's worth. Here I go, biting the bullet. That's kind of chilly. don't want to be melodramatic about it and talk about frostbite. But I do have a pair of hydro socks, neoprene socks, if things do get a little dicey. That's a little backup plan that I have. Well, the sun is still causing lots of snow to fall from the limbs. Got a few cooling shots down the neck, and right now I'm climbing up a series of switchbacks, which are kind of unexpected in a way because the trail mostly follows the Spotted Bear River, but I believe that they rerouted the trail in order to take us above Shelf Lake, because otherwise you wouldn't see it. And I think we're just about to get there. Down there you can just see the very end of Shelf Lake, which looks pretty well frozen over. Gives me a bit of an idea of what I'm in for if I keep going and decide to spend the night out here. So far I'm about 2 miles in to Shelf Lake, and this is kind of where I was thinking I would decide whether to turn around or keep going. It's not a point of no return yet, but getting close. And I haven't quite made up my mind yet. Conditions aren't getting any better, but they aren't getting worse either. The trail heads down after Shelf Lake back towards Spotted Bear River, and things are getting a little more chilly. I can still feel my toes, so I think I'm okay there. But the sun is just about to go behind that ridge, and so I'm wondering how much colder it's going to get when that happens. I think I'll be fine as long as I keep moving. Well, I made it to the junction with the spur trail when the road is not gated. That's a quicker way to come down, and that's a quick access to the Silvertip cabin, which is a rental cabin. And there was a car parked at the gate, and at first I thought they probably were just day hiking on the road. Then it occurred to me maybe they had rented that cabin and come down this trail, but I don't see any tracks. So I am really all alone. And there goes the sun. Back down to the Spotted Bear River now. And it's still beautiful, so I'm still going. Well, that is the Silvertip cabin, a rental cabin from the Forest Service, and that is halfway for where I want to get today. Pretty happy to make it here. And that means this is the decision time, point of no return. I've been hiking for 2 hours. 3 o'clock, and sun goes down at 5, although it doesn't get completely dark till closer to 6. I don't think I'm going to turn back. I've come this far. This is a pretty fun trip, and it'll be a good experience camping in the snow. I'm pretty sure that my campsite is going to be snow covered, but I'm prepared for that, so I think it'll be okay. It's pretty fun. NRS Hydro Skins are the names of these. I got to pull my sock as tight as I can because I don't want to get any wrinkles in there. It could cause blisters. And they're super tight. That should help a lot. Oh yeah, that's toasty already. So I've made a few changes, as you can see. Since I'm not worrying about the sun anymore, I switched out from the build hat to the fleece beanie, and got the rain pants on finally, which is great because that means I can finally sit down. I didn't bring my sit pad on this trip because I did bring my FlexLight chair, which is going to be great when I get to camp, but it's kind of a pain in the ass to set up just for a short stop. So little miscalculation there, because it's nice to be able to sit down and take a break, but I can't sit in the snow until I got my rain pants on. Now I can. And the other big change I'm going to do is I got my Catula micro spikes along, and I think it's time to put those on too, because I am all in snow. Earlier on I was back and forth in and out of patches where there wasn't snow, and I thought I didn't want to put the micro spikes on if I was going to be hiking on bare ground. But now there's no bare ground, and these should help a lot with the traction in the snow. Great. Just get a little snack, eat some energy, and I'll be on my way. As far as that health update goes, by the way, I'm about to talk about prostate and peeing, so if you don't want to hear about those things, skip ahead. So last time we talked, I was in rather dire straits and had my surgery scheduled, but not for 2 months out, and things were pretty intense for a while there. I had such severe urinary urgency that I wasn't able to sit through a single session for a whole week, and that's after 25 years of never interrupting a session. So I was pretty worried about 2 whole months of that, and I met with the PA at the urologist's, and he said that they would double my dosage of the medicine I was taking, which is Silodosin or Rapid Flow. And I had been on that for the whole last year and managed pretty well. He said that he didn't think doubling it would do anything for me, and I probably just needed to get used to self-catheterizing 2 to 3 times a day for the next 2 months. So that was not good news, but thankfully he was wrong, and the doubling of the dosage kicked in after a few days and really managed it quite well. So I was pretty much back to the way things had been the whole last year, and almost thinking about backing out of surgery, because if it can be managed with the medicine, then that's usually what you want to do. However, I met with my surgeon, and he pointed out that my a normal prostate is about 40 cc's, and mine was 160. So I really did need to just bite the bullet and get surgery. So I did, and good news about that, it was not fun, but I got through it, and right now everything is back to normal. All the plumbing's working just right. It's almost scary how quick the pee comes out of you after you're used to gradually getting less and less over time. So I'm 8 weeks out from surgery and back to being able to do this, which is pretty thrilling for me. I wasn't quite sure about being able to do this today because up until this week, just wearing a lap belt, seat belt, the half an hour drive to town was a little bit achy by the time I got there. But this week it's gotten better. And so far, 2 hours in and no problems with the hip belt on my pack. So things are looking good, except for this snow and cold. Thanks for caring and for all the messages of concern. I really appreciate it. There is the first of the blue lakes. There's 3 or 4 little potholes around and one largish lake that we'll see in just a minute. Just right over there. That's pretty. Here's the largest of the blue lakes. Pretty little gem. Not much for camping though. Well, it's 4:30 and I still got about 2 miles to go, which I usually figure about an hour of hiking, especially in these conditions. So it's going to be a close thing. Light's fading. Like I said, the sun doesn't technically go down till 5, and I'll have a little light to work with after that. And of course I got my headlamp. So there's always the fun of trying to set up camp in the dark with a headlamp. Although I think I'll beat that. I'm pushing on through, not taking any breaks, just to make the best time I can to give myself the most light as possible. Can't wait to see how much snow there is on the actual campsite. There's some giant ponderosa pines there. And I'm thinking just maybe I might be able to squeeze into a little spot underneath one of them, but we'll see. So far I haven't seen many places like that. Pretty clear that the snowstorm that came through here, which by the way was 2 days ago, the storm that came through here was obviously had some high wind because of all the snow that's blowing up against the trees like that. And so that means it probably blew into any low open spots. So I don't really expect I'm gonna find anything, but I can always hope. Looks like there would be a good campsite down there, and I think there would be in normal situations. but I'm not too far from Beaver Creek, so I'm going to keep pushing on. You can see here it will be quite a nasty bushwhack to get out to that bar. Well, can I get a woohoo? I made it. 10 after 5. And nobody's here. That's one good thing. I was a little concerned about it being full of hunters. Can't believe that it isn't. And there's the awesome Spotted Bear River, one of my personal favorites. And that's the Beaver Creek just coming in. So I have to move fast to get camp set up, but check it out. There's actually some spots that are free of snow. Can't wait. Very happy that my SteriPen is working. Having to use a little supplementary water bottle because my 2 main water bottles are completely frozen over. Well, here's my setup. Got too dark last night to be able to show you. Spotted Bear River's right there. And I used Sierra Designs bivy inside of my usual DCF tarp from Locust Gear, the Kufu. And that seemed to work pretty good. It was a little tight, but stayed warm all night. I'm using the X-Therm Thermarest and my 0 degree Enigma quilt from Enlightened Equipment. Worked pretty good, except I had a dang little rodent that was scurrying over my gear last night, sampling different things. Hard to sleep with that a foot from your head. I did actually bop him once this morning, but it looks like it could be a beautiful day. Got down to about 25 degrees during the night. Certainly nothing was melting, but I'm ready for my morning coffee and a quick bite, get on the trail and warm up. My shoes were frozen solid. Couldn't get them on, couldn't untie the laces even, until I finally just went down to my trail socks. Were small enough to be able to get in. Once you get in them, then you can walk around and free them up. So I'm just having a quick cold breakfast here. Gotta have my cold coffee and a little bit of energy to get moving. Probably stop and eat a little bit more about an hour down the trail once I've warmed up a bit. So if you're wondering what I was wearing for the night, I have on 2 pairs of wool socks and expedition weight polypro bottoms and tops, a pair of down pants, and my cut-off modified Hallie Hansen rain pants. Up top there's the thermo top and a fleece vest, and I actually have my wind shirt on underneath the puffy, which I can't remember the name of right now, but I'll put it on the screen. And on my head I have a fleece hat, the hood of the puffy, and this is the Patagonia balaclava out of Capilene that I don't know if they even make it anymore, but they're crazy if they don't, because it's been one of the best little pieces of gear I've owned for about 30 years now, and it comes in really handy on a night like this. I was plenty warm, really, not uncomfortable at all, which means I probably could have gone down another 10 degrees or so in temperature during the night, but I'm glad I didn't have to test that. So other than the rodent bugging me, I slept pretty well. If you're wondering about the bivy sack, I just wanted to try that as a multifunction bit of gear for this condition because it was my ground cloth. I didn't bring a Tyvek ground cloth at all, and also keep my quilt contained around me, which they say adds about 10 degrees of warmth. So it seemed to work good, although it does make it difficult to get in and out. Thankfully I didn't have to get in and out during the night, so no problem there. Putting on my hydro skins again, even though they're frozen solid. Kind of gotta knead them to make them pliable enough to go on my feet. But in the long run, it'll keep my feet warmer. In the short run, it's like slipping into nearly solid ice water. Oh, lovely. Whew. Well, I'm all packed up and ready to go. You might have noticed that the video quality has changed. That's because I ran out of GoPro batteries. Thankfully, I just happened to bring my old Sony RX100 along on this trip just to take some nice still photos. So that's my backup camera. Don't normally have a backup camera. And I figured 2 batteries would be plenty on the GoPro, but apparently GoPro batteries don't like the cold because they did not last. And I'll try to see if I can squeak out a few trail shots from it, but I'm not counting on that. Starting out wearing some of my nighttime gear. Normally I wouldn't do that. I just tough it out if I had another night out in the woods so that I wouldn't be getting perspiration into the down gear and my sleeping gear. But since this is just an overnight, no problem to risk that, and I'll probably warm up, I hope, in a half hour or so and be able to switch that out. Bleh. Apparently my lips are frozen too. I better get moving. The only tracks on the trail are mine from the trip in. But it is just a stupendous morning. It may have been a mistake to put on those hydro skins all frozen like they were, because by the time I packed up camp, the whole front half of my feet were frozen. And it's been about a half an hour and I still can't feel my toes. There's a view of Blue Lake again. Not thawing out at all. Well, starting to get a little bit of feeling in the toes, so happy about that, even though it took about 45 minutes for that to really get going, get that circulation going. Back to the Silvertip cabin at a little after 10, so making good time. Nothing is thawed here either. Just down below the Silvertip cabin and a little to the north, there's this spur trail that goes right down to the Spotted Bear River. And that's pretty much the only good access to the Spotted Bear between Beaver Creek and where I camped at Dean Creek. And there's a big beautiful campsite down in there too. So good to know if you need that, or if you were coming along here and wanted to access the fishing. So the distance on this trip is 16 miles round trip, and the elevation is only about 500 feet, not hardly worth counting really. And I'll be about a 3-hour drive home, although it's a beautiful drive along the Hungry Horse Reservoir, especially in the fall. I really love that drive. Managed to come through that this time rock hopping and just got a little soaked on one foot, so that was a much better outcome. When I stepped out of the truck yesterday, I told myself just hike a little ways, a couple miles to Shelf Lake and back, just for the benefit of having a pack on my back for a little while in the woods. And I was almost certain that I was only going to go 10 steps and turned around and go back to the truck and then go back and camp at one of the campsites along the Hungry Horse Reservoir. But I'm glad I kept going. Turned out to be a crazy fun adventure. Well, my feet hardly felt the trail on the way out, partly because they were numb, but mainly because I was just hiking on cloud nine. I'm so thrilled to be out here again and be able to experience this awesome stuff. You know, part of what I love about backpacking is getting to experience things that not many people do. And this trip was certainly in that category. I haven't seen any sign of other humans on this trip, and maybe that means I'm the only one dumb enough to be out here, but wow, what a fantastic experience. It's so beautiful today. I do want to give a shout out to my awesome urologist, Dr. Vasily Siomos. Greatly appreciate your handiwork. To be able to get me out here just 8 weeks after surgery is pretty awesome. So, lessons learned. Well, number one is GoPro cameras don't really like the cold. And I was thinking it's the battery, but when I try to switch it on a little bit, it reads like there's a moderate charge in the battery. So I'm thinking it's a little of both, the battery and the camera. Lesson two, always bring all your batteries. I have more GoPro batteries and I had them in my hand when I was packing. I thought, I won't need it, and didn't bring it. So really glad that I did bring the old Sony 100. And the reason I brought that is because I missed having good still photos. Don't really like the ones that I can capture with the GoPro. So I'm thinking I might upgrade my Sony. I have the Mark II, and bump that up to a 5 or 6, make it still affordable, but be able to film in 4K, and probably carry both cameras. And another lesson was, I told you I wore the rain pants over the down pants, and I think that was a mistake because it was a little bit of condensation on the inside of the rain pants, degraded the down a little bit. And even though you would think wear everything you possibly can to be warm, with the down degradation from being a little bit damp, I think it probably would have been warmer without the rain pants, although I was completely comfortable and toasty. If it had gotten colder, that might have made a difference. Okay, well, I think that's it for today. Thanks for coming. Really appreciate your subscribing. Past 3,500 subscribers, so thanks so much. Really appreciate it. Thanks for coming along on these crazy adventures. I'll see you next time. Take care.